Right now, somewhere, someone is standing over a stove and the smell alone is enough to make their mouth water. Not the taste, just the smell. Ancient humans are the reason that smell has that kind of power over you. Here's the strange part. No other ape on Earth does this. Chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, eat their food raw, exactly the way it grows. You cannot survive that way. Put a human on a fully raw diet, and even with modern tools, blenders, and supplements, the body starts to fail. For most of history, cooking got filed under just a convenience, a nice to have, something humans figured out once they got smart enough. It isn't, not even close. Hold on to this thought because later in this video, I'm going to tell you about a real gap in the evidence that scientists still haven't closed and why it doesn't actually weaken this theory. It might be the opposite. In 2009, an anthropologist named Richard Wrangham at Harvard proposed something that reframed human evolution completely. He called it the cooking hypothesis. His argument is this. Around 1.8 million years ago, a new species appeared, Homo erectus. And compared to everything before it, Homo erectus had a strange combination of features. A noticeably bigger brain, a noticeably bigger body, but smaller teeth and a smaller gut. This is not an exaggeration. That combination doesn't make sense on a raw diet. A bigger brain needs enormous amounts of energy, roughly a quarter of your entire daily calorie budget, even at rest. But a smaller gut means you can extract less energy from raw, fibrous food. Something had to be filling that gap. Wrangham's answer is cooking. Cooked food is softer, easier to digest, and delivers dramatically more usable calories from the exact same ingredients. Here's the comparison that makes this land. Wrangham has personally tasted the foods wild chimpanzees eat. Fibrous, bitter, barely any sugar at all. A chimpanzee spends hours a day simply chewing, just to extract enough calories to survive. Cooking removes almost all of that labor in a single step. Heat breaks down tough plant fibers and denatures proteins before your body ever has to. Researchers have measured this directly. Cooked food allows the body to absorb roughly 30% more usable energy than the same ingredients eaten raw. That's not a minor bonus. Over a lifetime, that difference is the reason a body could afford to build and run something as expensive as a modern human brain. Here's where the story gets more honest and more interesting. Fire itself is incredibly hard to prove in the archaeological record. Ash and charcoal degrade quickly, so the oldest confirmed evidence of controlled fire only goes back about 800,000 years. This is not an exaggeration. That leaves a real gap of roughly 1 million years between when Wrangham's theory says cooking should have started and the oldest fire evidence we can actually point to. Wrangham's own response to this is refreshingly direct. Absence of evidence for fire that old isn't evidence of absence. Fire from 1 million years ago simply may not have survived to be found. What has survived is the skeleton. The teeth of Homo erectus shrank more in one evolutionary step than at any other point in the human fossil record. Something changed the physical demands on that body, and cooked food remains the most complete explanation anyone has proposed for exactly what and exactly when. There's a second line of evidence worth knowing, and it's honest about its own limits, too. Researchers Leslie Aiello and Peter Wheeler proposed what's called the expensive tissue hypothesis. Brain tissue and gut tissue are both metabolically expensive to run, and across primates, species with bigger brains consistently have smaller guts, and species with bigger guts have smaller brains. The body seems to trade one for the other. Cooking is the most direct explanation anyone has found for how humans could afford to make that trade so dramatically, growing the most expensive brain of any primate while shrinking the gut that would normally be needed to feed it. Remember what I asked you to hold on to? That gap in the evidence? Here's why it doesn't weaken the theory. Science doesn't need every piece of physical proof to take an idea seriously. It needs the pieces that do exist to point in the same direction, consistently. And for Homo erectus, they do. The body changed exactly the way you'd expect if cooking had just been invented, even before we can prove the fire that did it. Now think about your own life. You don't crave raw meat. You crave the campfire, the stove, the smell of something being made. That craving isn't a modern habit. It's the exact same biological reward system that once told an early human, this fire is going to keep you alive. There's a specific chemical reason that smell hits you so hard. When food browns, whether it's bread crust, seared meat, or roasted vegetables, heat triggers something called the Maillard reaction, a chemical process between amino acids and sugars that creates hundreds of new aroma compounds that simply don't exist in raw food. Your ancestors couldn't have known the chemistry, but their brains learned, generation after generation, that whatever produced that specific smell was reliably safe, reliably rich in calories, and worth chasing. Your brain isn't malfunctioning when a kitchen smell stops you in your tracks. It's running a reward circuit that's nearly 2 million years old, still doing exactly the job it was built for. Take away cooking, and the math of your own body stops working. Your brain is too expensive, your gut is too small, and a raw diet simply cannot cover the difference. Every meal you've ever cooked is a direct continuation of a decision your ancestors made almost 2 million years ago. Think about what that actually means. The stove in your kitchen isn't a modern convenience sitting on top of your biology. It's the reason your biology exists in its current form at all. You are not broken, you are not weak, you are just ancient. Comment below. What's the one smell of cooking food that stops you in your tracks every single time? Like this video if it changed how you think about your own kitchen, and subscribe for more of the ancient reasons behind your modern life.